Hi, and welcome to the FFS podcast, and welcome to a brand new series. This is actually the first video that we'll be putting out on YouTube that's not the Euro uh, watch alongs, nor is it like the introduction to season 3. This is the first episode of this new series called End to End. And if you're wondering what this series is all about, it's basically me joined by two fans of opposing teams watching the games and reacting to them. So we'll do previews, we'll do first half reactions, halftime reactions, second half reactions. So it's basically, if you watch what we did in the Euro 2020 tournament, the same thing we're going to be replicating on a weekly basis. Though we won't be covering weekend games, we'll only be covering midweek games, whether it be Champions League, Europa, it could be Women's Super League, it could even be Premier League games that happen during the midweek. But for today's episode, and that is episode number 1, we're going to be reacting to the Carabao Cup game between Manchester United and West Ham United. It is a repeat or a sort of return to the game that happened in the weekend, which was a very, very exciting, controversial. I don't know what you guys want to talk about that, but it's kind of like a repeat fixture, and but this time the stakes are a little higher because this is, of course, a knockout game and it's a cup tournament. So, let's talk about this game. And before that, I have to ask my guests to introduce themselves. Both have been on the podcast before, but as this is a new series, they haven't been on this podcast. Nor have they been in the Euro 2020. So this is first watch along on the FFS podcast for both of them. So let's start with Anshuman. Anshuman, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the first watch along on the E2E series. And why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, so I am a Manchester United fan and I'm a football writer from India.
Great. Sorry for that. And I was expecting it to be a little longer. That's why I kept drinking water.
I was like,
yeah. And next we move on to Michael. Michael, welcome back to the podcast. Again, like Anshuman, this is your first ever watch along on the podcast. And why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Michael. I'm part of the Indian Hammers, the West Ham Indian fan club. So I've been following West Ham for close to 15 years now, and as Brady said, I've come on the show a few times, and this is my first watch along. It's probably the first time I've done a watch along ever. So
Ever?
yeah, online with this thing.
Didn't you do? I don't know. Were you? I thought last year or last season at the final fixture, didn't you do something for some?
No. So what I do with what I did for the Euro. Wait, are you talking about the Euros?
No, I'm talking about the Premier League, the last day fixture. I think where everyone watched the deadline. Wasn't that there?
I wasn't part of that. I don't think I was part of that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Must have been confused. But yeah. Anyway, so I guess. This obviously the Euros was a lot of fun. Obviously, the matches in the Euros weren't the greatest to watch at, and especially the ones that we watched were kind of the worst ones.
I had a lot of fun.
Always. Yeah, it was fun, but I just felt like the games, and we covered big games, but I felt like those big games didn't sort of live up to the hype. Like we were talking about like either England, Germany, or we just expected a lot of goals. And I think except for the Croatia-Spain game that we did, like there weren't too many. A few goals here and there. And yeah, I guess a couple of times questioned why why I'd stay up so late watching those games. But anyway, apart from that, so like I said, this is the first ever YouTube video that we are going to be posting. So, and it's accessible to everyone. Unlike our FFS and MWS series, of which you can only watch the video versions if you are patrons of this of the podcast. So basically, members paid members, you get different benefits. You can check out all the patron stuff. I've set up couple of videos talking about what the benefits are for each tier, and also talking about the patron in general. And yeah, but this one's accessible for everyone. It's obviously going to be edited. Extra content will obviously be accessible to the patrons again, but as bonus content. But for the edited version and the final version is accessible to everyone. So, all right, we've got 20 minutes remaining to the start of the game. So let's talk about how confident you are going into this game. So, Michael, let's start with you, because obviously you were so close to snatching a draw away from Manchester United. But of course, the one time that De Gea has to make a penalty save or shouldn't make a penalty save, he goes away and does it. But what are your thoughts on that? And do you think it's perfect that only a few days after that you have a chance to exact revenge on Manchester United?
Yeah, so vice versa, by the way, De Gea saving and Mark Noble also, of all the times for him to miss a penalty, because he's been the most reliable pen taker in the Prem for the past 4 or 5 years now, I think so. That match was it was so good to watch as a West Ham fan. Irrespective of how the ending went, as in overall, when you take what we gave, we really showed that we were up to fighting one of the big boys. And yes, Manchester United still count as one of the big boys, despite what other fans would want you to believe. I think
who are those fans? Who are those fans? Let me at him.
The thing is, I did this when I was doing a preview for the match also. One thing which I mentioned, which a lot of United fans were scoffing at, was that Moyes has a very attacking outlook this season. Not only in terms of how he starts the games, but also in terms of the substitutions he makes. Like he brought on Lanzini and this thing. It's all he was doing a lot of, and Benrahma. He was doing a lot of attacking subs even later on in the game. He was actually trying to get a result out of it rather than just sit back and this thing. And even though the commentary was biased as heck, and I was so pissed off at it. I mean, Manchester United were playing really good. I have nothing against that. But if you were just listening to that like a radio show and not watching the game, you'd think that Manchester United were completely dominating West Ham United. Every time Cristiano had a shot, it was like, oh my God, Cristiano, the greatest player in the world. And then if Benrahma or Souček whizzed the shot past the crossbar, they should have done better. There's those type of chances I'm like, okay. But yes, we did well, and unlucky finish. But I bear no grudges against the Manchester United team, because they did their best also, and I think they did enough to be able to warrant a result out of it. But yes, one thing which I would point out, which a lot of people were asking me about, Noble coming on later on and then taking the penalty, it's not going to affect us. As in, many people were wondering whether it's going to affect the people who are supposed to be taking penalties. Why weren't people like Rice? Wouldn't it affect them? But no, Nobes is in his last. He's a club legend. And not just in name, every player who's playing for West Ham now know how important Noble is. Even though he's not actually playing much on the pitch, they know his influence, and it's his last season. So if anything, I think it's going to galvanize. If it was anybody other than Noble, it would have been horrible. It would have been a morale killer for us. But then it's Nobes. In fact, I think the people, the club, the players will be rallying around to get a result because of what happened to Nobles at the end last game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, fair enough. And I guess because of what he's done in the past and the fact that he is kind of your number one penalty taker, even though he doesn't start games that often, I guess people would have understood the decision. I guess that
it was still stupid. It was still stupid to bring him on. But at least it was Noble, so people will be like, okay, fine.
Yeah, I know. I get, like I said, and like you also said, it's kind of like the person, it's the who rather than, I guess, why or whatever. But Anshuman, going to Manchester United side, a lot of changes, and we'll come to the lineups in just a bit. But another sort of, the result against West Ham was much needed, given what happened with Chelsea and Liverpool, and you won't need to keep up with them in the table as well. But another chance for you to, put it past West Ham, try and get a good result, and maybe if you kind of do better this time round, kind of say at least put to bed those rumors or those critics talking about and saying that United were lucky to come away with the win.
Yeah, I think those critics are going to stay for a long time. They're not going away anytime soon. So that is not surprising for me. I think I agree with a lot of points that Michael put out regarding West Ham's performances and the work David Moyes has done at the club, which has been quite scintillating, to say the least. And look, it's not the. I think the way the match ended, there is a point to be made that we were quite lucky to get away with the result because Mark Noble is one of those people who does not miss a penalty, and David De Gea is someone who has not saved a penalty in nearly half a decade. So
Yeah.
this is one of those scenarios in which you just put out the old adage that 10 times this scenario plays out and 9 times the penalty will be scored. That was that one chance that just didn't go in, and which is why it has been a matter of discussion because the penalty did not go in. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. Otherwise, David Moyes would have been hailed as to have carried out a masterclass because he brings on his most trustworthy penalty taker. And
Yeah.
Declan Rice and the likes of Jared Bowen and the likes of Aaron Cresswell, they haven't really been that prolific in front of the goal. I mean, the last penalty that West Ham scored was through Jesse Lingard, the guy who scored the winner for us. So that was quite an end to the game. So yeah, I understood the decision that Moist took, and because it didn't turn out in his favor, that is why we are talking about how what kind of decision it was. And there is a valid argument for why it could be construed as a stupid one, and which is gaining a lot of traction because they didn't win the match. We did. We played our way to a certain degree, but there are a lot of tactical issues with Manchester United, despite being a stronger squad than we were last season. We saw that against Southampton when we drew the match. We saw that against Wolves when we lost the match. We saw that against Young Boys when we saw that against Wolves when we won the match, even though we
Yeah.
didn't deserve to. We saw that against Young Boys when we lost the match, even though we deserved to draw. I think that is also quite an indictment for United that is a match we should have won clearly.
Yeah.
So there is that against West Ham United. Look, there was a deflection credit for attempt, but we conceded that goal. Cristiano did what Cristiano does at the very least. He pounced on an opportunity, scored the goal. That was Jesse Lingard's at his super sub brilliance. He has been doing that for us for a while now. He did that in the last Premier League match as well. So I'm happy for the guy, even on an individual level, that he's happy, he's in a right place mentally at the moment, and he's able to score goals. So I'm happy for him. And I think compared to the last two seasons in the Premier League, the biggest problem Manchester United have had, amongst other things, is that they haven't had a decent start to the campaign. I mean, even in the season before last, they ended third. They started poorly. Even in the season last season, also they started the season by losing to Crystal Palace, and then having absolutely terrible performances, winning matches occasionally where they didn't win, they deserved to win. The match against Brighton over Albion comes to mind. Then there was that 6-1 drubbing against Tottenham Hotspur that really changed the complete way in which Solskjaer approached the Big Six matches. This time, at the very least, you could say that Manchester United have not been as convincing as Chelsea or Liverpool, and I would agree with that 100%. But at least we are able to keep pace with them. We
Yeah.
still have 13 points. There are still only
Important.
3 points, three
Yeah.
teams with 13 points. So we have been able to do that. That is the biggest plus that I can take from right now, because this is a phase in which Manchester United and the Solskjaer really usually don't perform well. The results are not there. So results are there. And the tactical shortcomings are going to be there for us as they are for other teams as well. And United are also in a quite good, have a pretty decent fixture list right now, because I think starting from late October or early November, we have an absolutely torrid run where we're facing good team after good team. So if that is one, you have to accumulate as many points as you can against team with whom Manchester United are supposed to win. So the points wise, it has been a decent start. The shortcomings are always there. The lack of a midfielder and by extension a functional midfield is quite apparent in a lot of matches. Something that I will come to when we talk about the Lions, because this is going to be a good experiment for how this midfield plays out. But that issue has been there. It will take time to see how that plays out towards the course of the season. How we fare in the Champions League, having lost the first match, how exactly we fare against the team that are much more set than us in the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, and to a certain degree Manchester City as well. So yeah, United have had a good start, but there's a long, long way to go. United have a lot of holes to fill.
Perfect. And let's talk about the lineup straight away because they from either side, it's kind of I mean there are huge changes, whether it be up front, midfield, and at the back. I say at the back. I mean it's a debut for Areola for West Ham. I didn't even know he was at West Ham until today. Uh, for some reason I either thought he was in Fulham or he was back in PSG. I think is his parent club or something, right? Is he on loan to you guys? Or you guys bought him?
Yeah, loan with an option to buy.
Okay. Yeah. So either way, I mean, I was really surprised. But Michael, let's talk about the lineup. You said before recording that this is your second string team, and it's kind of known. You weren't going to play your full strength squad, given that I don't think anyone, maybe Manchester City, but Manchester City can continue playing. I can have both a second string and a first team squad, and it'll both be as strong as each other. But the rest of the other teams have played their second string squads, and for you, do you see this? I mean, what are you made of these changes, and what do you expect from the team?
Okay. A little bit of a kudos first I'll give to our management, actually, in a way. The fact that we are able to play our second string team. I mean, other than Jared Bowen, this is entirely people who do not make our first 11, at least so far as of now. Even though Areola is someone that we, as West Ham fans, also we're kind of like waiting for him to make it into the first team. He's as good as Fabianski, if not better. The only reason Fabianski is right now still playing our first 11 is because of what he's done. He's been such a good servant for us, and I think Moyes is fair to him. He's being fair to him. He's saying, okay, until you make a maybe. I hope there's no issues with us swearing
until you
here.
fuck up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. I did that for you. Yeah.
Until you make up a fuck up of epic proportions, I think you can keep your place for now. So Areola's definitely good. Other than Bowen, this is a completely 11 that is not who would you expect, but then it's still strong. So this is way stronger than any. This second team that we've put up is probably stronger than the first team that we used to have in the past 4 or 5 years before. So that speaks volumes about it. As there are some interesting things that have that have come up in the lineup, which like Masuaku is playing, and I'm pretty sure he's going to play up front, wing back. Lanzini he's on and off. Kral is someone that I really want to see how he plays out, because I wasn't that impressed with him in the Euros. So I want to see how he works out. Diop and Dawson, I think this is a pretty solid 11 as it comes out, even though it's our second string 11. Oh God. Wait, what was the last question that you asked me before this thing?
Essentially, like, what do you expect from the team in terms of the style of play and the tactics from Moyes?
Right. So we have Kral and Noble playing in the middle, right? Noble, we know he has no pace, so he has literally no legs. So, but then I guess the same can be said of Matic. I mean, how good has Matic been for Man United? I mean, I know he's good, he's big, but then he's also lost a lot of pace. I think it's a pretty even 11 actually when you think about it. The only thing is Manchester United have those guys up front, those three who are really who say Lingard, Martial, and Sancho. I think Martial is the one least in form right now, but all those three guys are people who can put in a world class performance, a worldie, or score a worldie out of nowhere. We have Bowen and Yarmolenko who could probably do that for us. Lanzini, we know he can do a screamer here and there, but other than that, I think Manchester United, it looks like we're going to be it's going to be similar to the PL game. In fact, even though because of the fact that we're both playing our second stream teams, I think it's going to play out very similar. I think we're going to be absorbing a lot of the thing, trying to and hit on the counter using Bowen and Masuaku space. I think that's going to happen a lot again.
Fair enough. And Anshuman, we've seen, I mean, again, Van de Beek's back in the squad. I mean, I don't know what to say about the guy. I mean, this guy, I mean, he deserves more playing time. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's what he does in training that doesn't sort of, impress Ole and all of that. But, Sancho's back, like Michael's mentioned, your front three, no matter the changes, whether you have Greenwood, Cristiano, and whoever could be Rashford, or you change it up now to Sancho, Martial, and who's the other one?
Lingard.
Lingard, yeah, Lingard, or even Mata for that instance. I mean, they're still quite an attacking, uh, a potent attacking threat. I just wanted to know how you see the match play out.
Well, I think Michael hit the nail on the head that the West Ham are going to play in their 4-2-3-1 formation. I think. I don't think they're going to start out with a back three. I think David Moyes has a formation and a system quite ready there, and he's just placed in the placed the players in that formation. The thing with Carabao Cup in general is that this is the least interesting that it has been for a while now because City just keeps on winning it every time, like back to back 4 years now. It's getting quite. It's a bad advertisement for the cup competition in general. But I think what the both teams are reflecting here essentially is that they couldn't care if they knocked out, if they got knocked out here. If they got knocked out, then it's fine. But I think they're using it more as a template as to see how these players fare in a knockout scenario. Because both of these teams have European matches to play this season. Both of these teams intend to do their best they can in their respective European competitions. So they are both simply testing out the second string teams and what kind of strength their squad has when you take those first choice 11 away. As far as United's team is considered, I think this is
Mm.
the likes of Eric Bailly and Juan Mata featuring in a Carabao Cup first round or the third round. In this case is just quite usual. They always do that. I'm quite interested to see what happens with the likes of Joe Dallo and Alex Telles because those two are the kind of fullbacks who actually offer quite an attacking output. I know Luke Shaw has been doing that, but that is something you don't really expect or get from Van Bissaka at all. So if we are going to start with a 4-3-3 and Jadon Sancho is going to play on the right instead of Juan Mata, which I hope is not the case because I've never liked Juan Mata on the right side of the front three, even when he did have any kind of pace. So it will be interesting to see how Dallo lines up with Jadon Sancho because the thing that one of the top issues Sancho has had so far is not only the fact that he's trying to acclimatize into a completely different surrounding and there is a lot more pressure than he had at Dortmund, but also there's very little link up he has, very little attacking acuity that Van Bissaka offers from the fullback position, and
Mm.
that is just the kind of player he is. That's not a fault. That's not Sancho's fault. You need those kind of players to provide you that support so you can even function as your own player. He had that to a certain degree in Dortmund, even when he was playing from the left hand side with the likes of Rafael Guerrero, and you would say that Choma Munier also provides a lot more support in that regard. Van Bissaka doesn't do that. So a lot of times we have seen that lacking in Sancho's performance when he features from the right. On the
Mhm.
left, Shaw provides him a lot more support. He is getting there. There's been a lot of discussion regarding him that is he flopping. I think that's just baseless social media trolling. That really doesn't mean anything. But I would like to see how he actually features alongside a fullback who really provides some kind of attacking output in whereas Van Bissaka doesn't. As far as the midfield is concerned, Michael pointed out Nemanja Matic, and as slow as he is and as unreliable as Matic is, when it comes to playing out a 60-game season, he's still the best number six we have. He's still the most
Yeah.
composed midfielder we have in our lineup, and that is saying something. When a club of Manchester United's proportion are going for all the trophies that they are, having someone like Nemanja Matic being called the best midfielder that you could rely on isn't really a ringing endorsement of your squad. That goes on. That is a completely different discussion regarding the squad building that we have gone about this summer. But okay, I mean, Nemanja Matic still shows his class in matches like these. If you just think about the Premier League match, and Nemanja Matic came on, had a very little cameo, but he provided the ball to Jesse Lingard, with which he then scored the goal. So
Yeah.
that kind of line-breaking pass, which simultaneously takes out 3-4 players, that is the job of a number six that can hold the ball in the midfield,
Yeah.
that can provide that positional support to the players who are playing alongside that player and who could offer those line-cutting passes that takes out player at the same time. We don't have that kind of player right now. You won't get that with Sedge. You won't get that with McTominay. Tony Van de Beek will get that to a certain degree because he's from the Ajax academy. And if there's
Yeah.
anything the players at Ajax are taught is the one thing that to understand spaces on a pitch. So he could do that to a certain degree. He has done that at Ajax, but clearly Solskjaer does not trust him enough to do that. I really like that. I really like Donny Van de Beek's performance alongside Fletch in the Young Boys game. I
Yeah.
absolutely resented the fact that he was taken off
It's
instead of
taken
someone
off.
like Paul Pogba when he went down to 10 men. I think that was a bad move. I would not have done that, but then it is what it is. I would like to see how he fares alongside Matic. I think he'll play a bit of a box-to-box role. I really like even since the start of the last season. I've really liked what I've seen from Van de Beek. I also at this point no longer understand what is it that he needs to do to get a more increased run in the starting lineup. I've always talked about how I find him more conducive to breaking down a low block in an opposition against someone like Paul Pogba, who'll try to find a penetrating pass, a 60-yard penetrating pass. But if your opposition is sitting deep in their own half, then there's no point in finding a pass because
Yeah.
you have no space to run into. And Van de Beek provides a lot more positional awareness. He's a lot more good in taking instructions. This is not a complaint on Pogba. That's just they are two completely different kind of players,
Right.
Yeah.
capable of playing in two completely different scenarios. And I like Donny van de Beek in a system where you would need to break down a low block. So I like to see what they and Matic conjure up between the two of them. I think Juan Mata is always has been quite a decent player, performer for Manchester United every time he has played. He's also another case that has just kind of dwindled away in his time at Manchester United. I always thought that he would fare quite well as a number 10. He hasn't really played as a number 10 for a long time. He's always
Yeah.
been played outright. That has been a pet peeve of mine. I've never really liked that. I've always wanted for him to play as a number 10, but I think those years are past now. He's really just winding down his contract at this point. It's a sad thing, but it is what it is. So I would like to see him play in that number 10 role, linking up with the likes of Sancho and Lingard, who will offer him the pace. So that he does not really have to make a lot of running. It's a relatively slow midfield, but I think alongside the likes of Lanzini, Mark Noble, and Alex Kral, the pace should not be that much of a problem. And I think as far as Anthony Martial is concerned, he's at the moment the third favorite as far as the striking position is concerned. He really needs to make up for
Yeah.
himself. He needs to really prove that he could really do this. Because this is the third time he has been offsetted from his first position. First, he was taken off by a 34-year-old Zlatan. Then came a 24-year Lukaku, and now he's been offset
Yeah.
by 34-year Cavani and 36-year-old Cristiano. That does not reflect well on a player who's supposed to be in the prime of his life. So this is his
Yeah.
chance. So I hope he provides anything, at least any kind of ability to link up with the remainder of the front two. If not a goal scoring ability, I like to see how he'll fare alongside these two, because flair is at least what he will bring up.
I'd like to
True.
just add one thing before we go into the match. I think so. It's
Yeah.
time for us to go into the match. But
Yeah.
before we go in, one thing I'd like to add is the fact that it would make a huge difference in who actually plays. Because I don't really trust the lineups. The shape means the shape is the one which I expect. But who's going to play up front? Is Bowen going to be playing up front, or is it going to be Yarmolenko? And is Johnson going to be playing the left, or is it going to be Fredericks on the right? I'm not sure. And when we watch the game, we'll know. It make a huge difference on who plays where actually for us. So I want to see how that works out as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess, I mean, whenever they put up the lineups and at the start when they show the formation, it's usually completely different to what you actually see on the pitch. But yeah, like you mentioned, Michael, it's time to get into the match. So yeah, I guess that's about it for this preview. We'll catch you now on the first half reactions, which is coming up right after this. All right, see you. Oh, so yeah, I wanted to ask this about during the preview, but I thought it might as well be asked now. So, Anshuman, you mentioned about this Carabao Cup, and both these guys not caring whether they make it through or not. I just want to know, so like, do you guys feel like the Carabao Cup is just now being used for like just like a tester or like almost like a friendly match to kind of just try out new formations or new players or try out like youngsters or something like that? Do you think it's just kind of lost its value completely?
I mean, because we don't have new champions essentially for a long time. I mean, this is a country with the most competitive league in the world, and yet it's only Manchester City taken it seriously. So that's not a good reflection. For a few years. It used to be the big teams rotating their sides, and then from big teams it went to Premier League sides rotating their players. And yesterday you had Manchester City and Wycombe Wanderers, where Wycombe was thumped 6-1. And even then, Wycombe, the side playing in League One right now, had a second string team with most of their players sitting out. So you have a situation where no team really wants to take it seriously. Most of the teams really look as an impediment. And if anything, nobody really cares about the silverware here. They more or less care about what kind of new system we can try out. If we can play out a player, we can see how these things work out. That's what the teams are using it as now.
I mean, do you think, City, the reason they probably have won this most is because even if they change to a second string team, it's pretty much a first team squad to most. And the second is, do you think like Guardiola is the kind of managers like Eddie Silverware? It's kind of like a Mourinho thing, right? Like
Absolutely.
That's crazy. Oh, that was
I don't know what
close.
happened.
6:38, right? Mine was on.
Okay. I mean, Guardiola and Mourinho are the kind of managers
Crawl,
who
dude, crawl.
keep talking about how FA Community Shield is a legitimate trophy. Something I agree with, but those are the
Yeah.
kind of managers who just take every trophy seriously. So it's not surprising to see that Guardiola goes gung ho every time he plays the Carabao Cup. I mean, good on him. He takes it
Yeah.
seriously, but the problem is the rest don't.
Yeah.
And if you are a team from League One and League Two, you already get to play in the Papa John's Trophy, which is supposed to be the second tier league cup. And
Yeah.
Oh, that was
you
nice.
win that, it's a lot more feasible to win it. Sunderland won it last season, so they have a better shot at winning that instead of a team in which Manchester City will just blow you out of the park no matter what you do. So they don't try.
Fair enough. All right. So we already
Manchester
had a.
City can do it because they have that much amount of cash, that they have that much amount of depth that they can do that. They have no
Yeah.
problems. They don't. They have so much depth that their first team players aren't first team players. They keep rotating. That's how
Yeah.
good their depth is.
Someone was
I mean, Guardiola is an FPL manager's nightmare. Oh, they scored.
Yeah.
West Ham scored. Lenzini.
What?
Seriously, we're way behind. I haven't seen it yet. But thank you for
Yeah,
that. But,
that's the thing with watch alongs.
okay,
That,
Yamalenko.
that's true, but I mean,
No,
it's
that's cool
still
though. Brady, wait, what's the play at right now with you?
8:05. Someone's
8:16. I'm at
passing.
8:16. Lanzini.
Okay.
No, that's Fredericks. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, that was that.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. That was a
Well, one.
yeah.
That was poor defending. To be honest, that was
That
poor
was
defending.
from the wings. It was to let him through there.
Oh no. Fredericks looks injured.
I'm gonna try.
I remember
different
having
links.
this watch along issue. I was hosting a clubhouse session for my company, and we were watching Switzerland against France. And there was this guy who was watching live from Germany, and he was just giving us spoilers. Like 50, his stream was like 15 seconds ahead, and every time he's like, "Oh, Switzerland scored, France scored," and I just left at the time. I told my boss I'm leaving. I want my match to end with some sense of excitement. I can't do it.
I actually had the same thing for Spain versus Sweden, where I think the guy who was a Sweden fan, he was in Germany and he was watching it on live TV. So it's like actually, and we were like 30 seconds behind him. But luckily, there were no goals that match or whatever. There's so many missed chances. But every time his face would go like, oh, like that, and we'd be like, oh, what happened? What happened? Yeah. Oh, that was a. Oh, damn, son.
What just happened?
Why
Where's the
did he?
replay?
Oh, that was that. I don't know what happened there. He just fell. I don't know if Noble even like.
Touch him? Yeah. Oh, that was nice. That was a nice turn by Van der Beek.
Oh, nice. Let's see if I can find.
Little tug was there. I'll admit there was a little bit of a tug, but that was too soft.
Not enough to be given.
Not enough for a penalty.
But that was a tug for sure. Okay. Oh, that was close. That was very close.
Oh.
Dude, are you keeping quiet now because of this? Are you being fair to us, Anshuman?
No, not at all.
So you didn't. Okay,
it's just watching Manchester United can be quite a sad story.
No, but that was on target, right? The shot.
Yeah, it hit
the quite close. Yes,
it hit the crossbar, right?
Wait, no, I think it was a save. I'm seeing the replay now. Mata. Oh, that was on target.
I don't think he saved it. I don't think he touched it.
Yeah, I don't think he saved it. I think he hit it.
Good attempt.
Oh, he might have got his
He might have got a
fingertip
touch.
saved. Yeah, but whatever. The crossbar.
But it was a good attempt. It was a good attempt, though.
Yeah.
So he definitely fits the profile of what Manchester United could use, because essentially we don't have the kind of midfielder who are quite decent on the ball, as Declan Rice says. So we could definitely use him. I don't think he's going to come easily because he's an English player now.
Yeah.
So there's that English premium. He's 22. So I think there are a lot of teams out there who will be more interested and more able to get him.
That was close, no?
Than Manchester United.
Yeah, sorry, but how? Oh my God.
At least Martial.
Wait, who was the one who nearly gave the assist? Was that Matic? Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Matic.
he was. Oh my God, what a run by Matic. No,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was Matic.
I
It
mean,
was Matic.
to be fair, it was actually
Yeah,
like Martial
he
who
does that.
almost
He does
gave
that.
the.
If that was Martial from 2 seasons ago, that was a goal.
No, but I think Martial was wanted to pass it to Dallo as well. If you look at the,
I know.
he
That's what I'm
tried to.
saying. 2 seasons ago, that would
He'd
He,
have
have
he
taken
was
been.
it.
caught up in two minds. He was caught up in two minds.
Yeah.
Oh
That's what a
no,
lack of confidence does.
Fredericks
Is he?
is yeah.
It's good to see at least he's moving around. He's taking his chances.
All right. So I guess that's it for this first half review. I mean, it is West Ham 1 and Manchester United 0. It started off quite well in terms of like,
Exciting.
especially after West Ham scored. I think United were like, oh shit, we need to, wake up and try and score again or try and equalize. Didn't happen. It's been sort of back and forth. And both teams have had their moments or their like parts of the first half, but yeah, let's see what the next 45 brings. So we'll catch you all on the second half, which will be right after this. See you. What's
Okay, it
Noble
started
telling
now.
Mata?
Ooh.
Oh, wait. Oh, I thought he'd flick it again. Again, it's like I felt Jesse Lingard would have done better had he, as soon as he got the ball, just passed it to Mata straight away.
Take
But
it. Oh boy.
That's what that's what Mata can do. He can give you that ball.
from that midfield role, difficult to take the shot from there. You need to really put your laces through that, or the chip from there is being very ambitious. I suppose they now look. The only logical thing would be Martial for Green, for Bruno, but knowing Oli could just take out
Van de Beek.
Van de Beek.
Nice ball. Nice, Donny. Come on.
Whoa,
yes.
what up?
Oh, come on, Mason. Donny needs an assist.
That was a brilliant pass, man. Brilliant run. You can clearly see what Greenwood brings that to the table straight away.
Nice.
Just look at the difference between how like advanced Greenwood is up as compared to Martial. Like I get it, he's got fresher legs and all, but who do you have midweek? Sorry, the weekend for United,
Which United?
Manchester.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Anshuman.
Manchester United, Villa,
I think we have Villa.
yeah, and West Ham United.
Leeds.
Ah, okay.
Very similar teams in terms of at least the profile.
Yeah. Dude, you check out Hamless's Wikipedia page. It's hilarious. So it's like Everton, and then so it's like different clubs, right? So Return to Madrid, and then Everton, and then after that it's like random desert club.
Oh, somebody got to it, huh?
Yeah, on
Yes,
22nd
I see it. Random desert club.
on 22nd September, after falling out of favor with Everton, he's closing Oil FC. Oh shit, I'm going to listen
Oil
to
FC
that.
of the Qatar Stars League for an undisclosed prize. Oh, I'm screenshotting this.
Yeah, that's great.
I just looked up.
I don't think Manchester have had a single really threatening shot on target.
I think that Mata one early in the first half where it hit the crossbar, that's probably their
Ah.
best. I mean, Bailly had maybe the header, but still, I mean, nothing really concrete as such. I think there was that one chance. I mean, Martial tried to pass it, didn't really get through. Maybe those two. Couple of chances, but it's not like so clear cut.
Bruno is one of those guys who's. I think it's his destiny also to be one. He's like one of those guys who's both overrated and underrated at the same time. The guys who overrate him bad, huge, and the guys who
Yeah,
underrate him, huge.
yeah, I suppose so.
I think he's really good. But
Yeah, he. Has, I mean, I think he's turned out better than what I expected him to.
come on! Oh my god!
Oh, oh my!
ओए, चेयरमैन भैया.
Come on! No!
I'm sorry, but clearly, I don't know, man. Like, Jesus, Yamalenko should have hoped that or
Oh,
wished
thank
that.
you.
Okay, okay.
That
Ah,
was a terrible pass by Bruno.
That was
Yamalenko
unlucky.
wasn't off. Yamalenko wasn't off, right?
No, he was not off.
Terrible. If I was Yamalenko, I would have just been hoping that he put out the offside flag to save the blushes. Oh my god, that's got to be one of the.
He beat everyone, dude.
beat-
He beat.
I mean, the only way this is not as bad as like the Torres miss is that at least here he
Oh,
hit
shit.
the post.
Yes. Noble
Go,
is
go.
running up front there. Look at Noble. Look at
Give it to Noble.
Come on! Come on!
ओए, I was rooting for it.
Oh my
Where the hell
god!
did Noble get the pace to get up there?
And then he fluffed his chance. You can't believe in the space of 2 games he is
Yes.
not scored from within the
Okay,
6-yard
that's right.
box.
Okay, United have been very sloppy. Very sloppy.
Is Henderson
Pass it,
running
pass
back?
it, pass
Yeah.
it to
Doing
Dean.
an
Ah,
Edison.
yeah.
Doing an Henderson.
Neuer,
He's doing an
Neuer.
Henderson.
Discount Neuer.
And that's
Oh,
why.
wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh, shit. Now you see why you aren't happy. Look at all his face. Ollie had the same face in that the meme where the Pakistan fan is like that with his hands on his hips. He had the same face.
What the hell happened just now? What the hell just happened now?
I don't know
What
what
are we doing? Why are we doing
what,
this?
what
What is
happened
this?
here?
Hey, count it goal. Hey, count. Count no. Please.
Does he
What
get a
did he
yellow?
do? What did he do? What?
Okay, he's trying whatever he thinks could work. No matter.
After the referee puts it down, a West Ham player has to touch it first. So apparently, that's the rules.
Yeah, I mean, because it was against your team or whatever, right? I
Hmm.
suppose.
Oh, they won.
Oh,
Chelsea's man.
And it's
But-
done.
what a game! What a victory for West Ham United. So, I mean, let's kind of talk about this game, okay? And I guess this is the sort of post-match review of this game. And this is kind of the reason why I didn't want to do a first half review, because if we ended up being only 1-0, it's just kind of first half review is the post-match review. But overall, Michael, I mean, first of all, congratulations through to the next round. But what did you make of that performance by the Hammers?
Professional, exactly what we needed, especially after that loss at Man United. Completely, Noble must be feeling incredibly good.
Yeah.
He played his socks off, even though he had some moments where you could see he was really slow. He played really well. He held the middle of the park well, and our defense also should feel really good. I mean, that was not those were three really good names that they performed really well against, and I think we squeezed them out completely. They didn't have that many. There was no chance that Manchester United, they made so many chances in terms of the stats, but then there was no particular chance that you can point out and think, okay, that was a really bad defensive mistake or something like that. I think this was a really good performance. We needed it, and yeah, this was good. I'm happy. I'm really happy with the way things went.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think we spoke about how they would absorb pressure, and that was kind of seen in the first 10 minutes itself after they scored. Like, United were, the moment West Ham scored, United knew that they had to get the equalizer quickly, and they, just bombarded West Ham's half, and they sat back. They kind of, they didn't necessarily just park the bus. They obviously did also attack as well and try to extend their lead, but they absorbed any sort of pressure that United put on them. And Anshuman, I suppose the same question for you. What did you make of United's performance tonight?
Well, it's vindication for West Ham, and it's good for them, I guess. Uh, it wasn't a match of glaring mistakes. I think both sides gave it a good go with the sides that they had put out, and West Ham took their opportunity, and we did not. It's simple as that. And I think it was better man management than David Moyes for David Moyes, because he started out, once he got that lead, he did not really go into the over defensive mode. He kept the team ticking. He brought on the players to keep the defenders, Manchester United's defenders in check. And after the 70-minute mark, the team just went into 4-4-1-1 with Vlasic just supporting going up front and everyone behind the low block. United threw everything they could, but they weren't just able to capitalize. And this is something that just happens. And for United, once again, if you want to have a glaringly obvious thing, you could again say that United had trouble beating the low block, and there were issues. Manchester United did not have a plan A to move the ball around. Like, uh, from a tactical standpoint, the one thing that United get a lot of times from low blocks is that there is no attacking patterns to them. There is no plan A that the team can fall back on. The general idea usually just comes off as, we'll throw every creative player on the pitch and we'll just let them do their thing. There is merit to that. There's something that I always talk about, which is balance. And if you have an overly rigid team that just has a plan to move the ball around and have absolutely no freedom to do their own thing, then you end up in situations like Arsenal, or sometimes in very rare cases City, where if they're not able to break the team down with the plan that they have, then they just keep looking at Guardiola. They don't know what to do with themselves. And that is also a bit of a problem. It's a rarity, but it's something that they go through. With United, this happens more often than not, that when you set up a low block and the individual thing is not coming off, then they just feel lost. They don't even have a basic plan to how move the ball around. They do it among themselves. This is something that Solskjaer was criticized for even last season. This is even something
Is
that
this
has started this season
is
as
this
well.
down to? I mean, I don't know. So, in terms of quality, you guys have had better players on the pitch than West Ham, at least man
Yeah.
for man in
Yeah.
almost every position. So, what is it down to? Is it just that the team, because of the shakeup, haven't been used to playing together, or are you lacking that sort of confidence with these kind of players? Like, for example, Martial, we saw a couple of chances that a Martial of, say, a year ago, even maybe, or 2 years ago, would have probably put it to bed. Whereas he's kind of has kind of always stuck in two minds.
I think from a very basic point of view, you can say that both team went for it. One team got their chance and they held back defensively and they did their plan, and the other team didn't. Something like, I think as far as Martial is concerned, it just doesn't. Once again, it's just a case of him not performing well, and I don't think he was terrible. I just think that the very issues that have plagued him over the past 2 seasons, the fact that he doesn't really offer a lot of link up, lot of movement, lot of off the ball movement that we talk about with Cavani and Cristiano, that was not there. And that reflected in when Manchester United were trying to bombard crosses in and in and in, and there was absolutely no movement. It's not just about having a tall player in there who can get ahead in. It's about offering that movement when you are throwing those balls in. That was not there. And when you have these matches in which United are not able to break down a low block, then we talk about attacking patterns, how Manchester United do not have that base plan to fall back to. that reflects on the coaching part. That does not reflect well on the coaching side of things, because then you start asking the question, what kind of training are you going on when you are
Yeah.
not playing your matches? Because there has to be a proper balance for everything. I love the fact that Solskjaer has inculcated this, this ability in his players. He's allowed his players to do their thing. And there are a lot of players in United side who love to have that creativity. The best case of which is Paul Pogba. But sometimes when nothing is working out, you need to have
Yeah.
a moment of even a 5 minute pace in which United can just resort back to a plan A. Okay, let's just move the ball around. Let's just get that confidence back. If you do not have confidence, let's have that 5 minute phase of play where we are holding the ball, because that is the only thing in a match. In a match, there are always going to be ebbs and flows in a match. There are
Yeah.
always going to be phases in which your opposition is gonna be overpowered on you, and then you're gonna power on opposition. And United had those phases. United were able to create some good movement that just did not come off. But that plan was always lacking, and as long as there is it's so obviously lacking that it just begs the question: how exactly are you planning these things? Because if this is glaringly obvious to us, it has to be glaringly obvious to the coaching
Yes, yes.
team as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the result-wise. I'm not that bothered, because it's like I said before the start of the match. It's Carabao Cup. It will not be the end of the world if Manchester United were to lose this. I think hashtag only out will be trending on Twitter overnight. So there is nothing new in that. Every time we lose and drop a point, that's customary. And the glaring issues that I've just pointed out, they will be reflected upon once again. It now rests upon the coaching staff to work on it and see if we can build upon this, if we can get something good out of this. There were positives as well. I think the defense was not particularly terrible. It's just that West Ham took that one chance brilliantly, and we did not take the ones that we had. And I think Bailly and Lindelof were decent to their part. I really liked Van der Beek's performance. He was
Yep.
picking out passes. He was moving all over the pitch. He was supporting Matic, who in himself was quite decent. And
Yeah.
there's an argument to be made that it was against the midfield that is injury prone and not very fast, so he could do that. But really, Matic proves Matic every time he plays, he demonstrates what kind of player we need, what kind of player he could be, and what kind of player we don't have right now.
Yeah.
So that was that case again. Sancho got a lot of moments on the ball. I'm happy for him in that regard. As long as he's not getting assists and goals, I think he'll always start getting questioned, because he's now a 73 million pound man, and that's how it happens with Manchester United or any other big club. Every time you get out on the pitch with that price tag and do not perform well, it's going to be hard for you. I'm not going to jump into the discourse right now. As a rule of thumb, I always give the first full season off to any youngster who arrive at a big club with a pressure like that. So as much time as he can take. I liked from an individual point of view that he was able to come on the ball. He was able to move the ball around. He was getting around the players. Did not result into anything concrete, but that is fine. Okay, we'll take that game by game. So there were individual positives, and United are early out in the game, early out in the tournament. So this is one another trophy that Solskjaer is not going to win this season. So he'll be criticized for that quite heavily. It's not really the end of the world. I hope that we can look at the issues that again popped up today, and we can take the individual positives and take it into the league next in the weekend.
Right. And okay, let's talk about the goal, Michael, because he came on pretty early on in the 9th minute, and there's always this sort of uncertainty or this fear, I suppose, at least amongst fans, that an early goal, like especially if you score very early, you're giving the opposition that much amount of time. If you don't score, obviously another goal or two or whatever, but if you keep it 1-0, the early goal is kind of like, oh no, if you score an early goal, there's so much time for the opposition to equalize, and then at least equalize, and then maybe even get a winner. But for you, did you feel any sort of anxiety or fear that that could be the case, or were you fairly confident that at least once the first wave of attack was weathered and was neutralized, that you could see this out?
We led at the 30th minute in the previous game as well, and then they
Yeah.
equalized in the 35th. So yes, when they scored, it was not just me. Our entire chat in the Indian Hammers thing also, we were all talking about, oh shit, let's not get our hopes up. Remember, we went up early last time also, but yeah, we did well. The the thing is, this is something that might get a little bit covered up because of this, and this is something that I think is an issue. Most at least most of the fans that I know of are aware of this, and we're kind of frustrated that it wasn't. If there was one thing that we could criticize about our business during the summer, was that we didn't get a proper backup for Antonio.
Yeah.
So even this, even though we had a couple of chances towards the end, right? To be honest, we didn't really look that threatening going forward as a force. We were like a counter-attacking threat with a lot of our pace and a lot of our energy, but
I suppose those last sort of counters came as a result of United sort of
yes,
pushing
going
everyone up
forward,
front.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is good, but like you said, it depends a lot on the team, the opposing team, right? So the thing is, we don't seem to have any particular plan attacking other without Antonio. If we had Antonio on the pitch, I guarantee you we would have played a lot more differently. Balls would be flying up forward, and a lot of the wingers also would be making much more incisive runs. If you notice, a lot of our play today was like when it barely went to the front. Bowen barely got the ball unless he came and he won it off or he was involved in the defensive work and then drove forward with it. And when the wingers did get it, they went to the side and they didn't really do much except cut back to a defensive position again. So that's one thing which I found worrying. We were a bit lucky with the goal. We used Frederick's pace and Alex Telles's. I think it was Alex Telles, right, who was marking him at that moment, and
left
his,
back. Yeah, it
yeah.
would be Tess. Yeah.
So, and we were a bit lucky with the goal. But other than that, as a performance wise, we were brilliant. But yes, I would have liked us to have a bit more endeavor when we go forward in terms of the options that we have. It's for now we did our role perfectly, and Manchester United also didn't really have a
I like
proper
how you
attacking
said
plan.
United and then you corrected yourself to Manchester.
That I have to thank Anshuman actually.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
tough line to walk.
Yeah.
it's yeah.
And okay, so let's quickly go on to this. So obviously the draw is going to be done anytime. So it must be going on right now. I just want to know, who do you want to
Please.
face? Yeah, basically.
Who are still in? Did Chelsea win?
Oh yeah, Chelsea won and Spurs have also won.
So all the London clubs, at least the big London clubs, are still in.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I was just hoping that I was just thinking whether Arsenal had lost and that was a dig at Arsenal, but no, they're through as well.
Oh damn! Arsenal have won. Yeah,
Yeah.
they won. I would have actually see the thing about the Carabao Cup is we're going to be playing our second string teams, right? If
Yeah.
we're doing that anyway, then I wouldn't mind. Dude, the thing is, all these I wouldn't mind facing a Prem team, honestly, because it's all the little teams which are going to come up, or the championships which are going to take this way more seriously than the Prem teams.
I suppose so.
So I wouldn't mind coming up with against anyone. Oh my god, all of the London teams have made it through. Huh.
Pretty much. Yeah. I don't think Crystal Palace. That's the one thing. I suppose one team.
Wait,
One
Palace?
or Fulham is not there. I mean, I guess those are all London teams.
Oh yeah, Fulham lost. Yeah. So okay,
Lost.
the big team, the big London teams have made it through.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
I
mind
guess,
facing a Prem team. A London team would be interesting. It would make it more spicy also.
that's true. Yeah, of course, that would be. I mean,
London rivalry.
yeah, you've normally done well against like Chelsea before, I'm sure, like in the Premier League. So yeah, possible. So yeah, I guess that's about it for this entire watch along. We've done a preview, we've done the reactions to the first half and the second half, and we have done even a post-match review. So if you did like whatever you've been watching, obviously you've not watched the full 1.5 hours or 2 hours that we've recorded. We've watched the edited highlights. But if you did enjoy it, please do hit the like button. Please do comment, share, subscribe. Do let us know what match you want to see us do or react to, and what other watch-alongs you'd want to be a part of. If you want to be a part of as well, please do let me know either on YouTube, or you can let me know on wherever, Twitter, Instagram, wherever we are, you can do that. Go check out our audio podcast, which we do twice a week. So you can check that out. We'll be posting another YouTube video sometime end of this week, so you can check that out as well. And yeah, check out our Patreon page as well. If you I mean, obviously that involves a little bit of a financial support, but that obviously helps the podcast be sustainable, helps us grow as well, get better equipment, get better other stuff, and yeah, hopefully that all works out. But I guess that's about it for episode 1 of the End to End series, season 1. I'll catch you all on episode 2. That's it from me. I'm your host, Praddy, once again. Thank you, first of all, Michael and Anshuman, for being a part of this podcast. I forgot about that. But thank you. And I hope you had fun. And I hope to host you again, whether it be for the watch longs or other podcasts that we do.
Thank you for having us, Freddie.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. And I guess I'll catch you all soon. So I'm your host, Praddy, once again. You stay safe and see you.